Something was already down there. Not wreckage, not sediment, not the scattered remnants of pre-earthquake construction that the official record prepared the dredging crews to expect. Metal towers, cylindrical, precisely machined, fitted with internal coil arrangements, whose geometry matched wireless energy transmission, sitting in the bedrock of San Francisco Bay, at depths no documented American engineering project had ever reached. They found them in 1915. Routine land reclamation work for a World's Fair, digging down to build a foundation, and breaking through into something that had been in that bedrock for a period the sediment layers cannot reconcile with any officially acknowledged civilization. The engineering supervisors filed internal notes describing what their crews encountered, not in the language of excitement, in the language of people choosing words carefully because they understood that what they were writing would be read by someone above them. Pre-existing installations, unexpected configuration, origin unknown. This channel has documented Tartarian infrastructure under Chicago, under New York, under Seattle, beneath the bridges of Europe. The Mudflood buried it. The reset covered it. And every time a construction project cuts deep enough, the same infrastructure surfaces, and the same institutional response follows. San Francisco Bay is the version of that story that involves free energy technology predating Tesla by a margin the official history of electrical engineering cannot account for, and a World's Fair built directly on top of the burial. The 1915 Panama Pacific Exposition was San Francisco's proof of recovery. 4 square miles of the city had burned after the 1906 earthquake. 9 years later, the city chose to host the world's largest fair on mudflat land along the northern waterfront territory that did not exist as solid ground and had to be created through dredging. The process was straightforward. Pull material from the bay floor, pump it onto the marsh, compact it, build above. To do that safely, the engineers needed to understand what the bay floor was composed of before they committed 18 major pavilions to standing on top of it. Standard geotechnical procedure, which is why the dredging went deep enough to find what no geological survey had anticipated. The official explanation for what the crews encountered has held for over a century. Telegraph debris, old maritime signal equipment, pre-quake waterfront material misread by workers without specialized electrical training. That explanation fails on the physics. Telegraph cables do not require resonance chambers. Maritime signal equipment does not use precision-wound electromagnetic coil arrays, and pre-quake waterfront debris does not organize itself into mathematically exact geometric grids spanning multiple kilometers of open water. The official story needs a separate impossibility for every layer of evidence. The Tartarian explanation needs one. Someone built this, before us, before the city above it, before the electrical science that would eventually partially rediscover what it was designed to do. The geometric spacing is where every conventional explanation collapses simultaneously. Real accumulated infrastructure is irregular. Piers built at different times by different harbour operators produce an underwater record that reflects those independent decisions, different orientations, different depths, different construction methods, the physical signature of decisions made without coordination. What the 1915 dredging crews found is the opposite of that. Across the Marina District excavation zone, across the waters that would later become Treasure Island, across the Embarcadero sections, open for the exposition footprint, the towers appeared at intervals that repeated. Same distance between units regardless of location. Same angular relationship between towers discovered hundreds of meters apart, with no connecting structure between them. Same directional orientation across the full extent of the dredged area. The field supervisors sketched what their crews were mapping. Those sketches do not look like the documentation of accumulated harbour infrastructure. They look like a circuit diagram. Every installation in its calculated position, every spacing serving a function in a system designed to operate as a whole, not decades of independent decisions producing an accidental pattern. One decision, one design, one moment of installation. The question that spacing forces is not who built it, The spacing already answers that. The question it forces is what it was built to do. And before I show you what the towers contained, the internal mechanisms that make the function explicit and the timeline impossible, I need you to understand that the spacing alone already ends the conventional explanation permanently, because geometric grids across multiple kilometers of open water do not emerge from accumulated improvisation. They emerge from engineering. Beat 1. The coil arrangements. Inside the cylindrical towers, once the dredging equipment had opened them for inspection, the crews found metal windings. Coils wound to specific dimensional ratios, maintained at specific geometric intervals, arranged in configurations whose electromagnetic function any trained electrical engineer of the era would have recognized. Wireless energy transmission coils, matching the specifications that Nikola Tesla had been working towards since the 1890s. Matching the geometry of the Wardenclyffe Tower he constructed in 1901 on Long Island to demonstrate atmospheric electricity harvesting at scale. Tesla's work was the theoretical cutting edge of 1915 electrical science. What the dredging crews found in San Francisco Bay matched that cutting edge and predated it. The sediments surrounding the towers, the compaction and layering of bay floor material around their bases, places their installation in the ground before Tesla published his first theoretical paper on wireless transmission. These coils were not built by someone who read Tesla. Tesla was built by someone who partially recovered what these coils already knew how to do. The Tartarian Free Energy Network, the global atmospheric electricity infrastructure. This channel has documented the star fort nodes, the acoustic towers of Paris, the resonant architecture of the old world civic buildings. This was its specific implementation. Beat 2. The ceramic insulators. And this is the beat I have been holding back. Stay with me. Every electrical system requires insulation material that contains the energy within the conductors and prevents it from dissipating into the surrounding environment. The insulating components found inside the San Francisco Bay transmission chambers were submitted to material analysis. Standard procedure when engineers encounter unfamiliar components. The analysis came back with no classification, not a variant of a known ceramic compound, not an imported material from a documented manufacturing tradition, genuinely outside the categorical range of 1915 material science. The crystalline structures within the ceramic formed only under temperature and pressure conditions that exceeded the documented capacity of every industrial furnace and kiln in operation anywhere on Earth at any point before the second half of the 20th century. These insulators were not manufactured in 1915, they were manufactured by a civilization whose material science was more advanced than ours is right now in specific domains that we have not yet recovered. Beat 3. The horizontal conduits. And this is the detail that reveals the true scale of what was buried. Electrical grounding runs vertically. The physics of connecting a power system to Earth as a reference plane requires a downward connection from the installation into the ground beneath it. Every electrical engineer who has ever designed a grounding system has worked within that constraint. The conduits found running from the base of the San Francisco Bay installations run sideways, horizontally through the bedrock, embedded in stone that predates any documented human construction on this continent, rooted in directions that, when projected outward from the known dredging zone, align with the coastline of the Pacific with the other major port cities of the American West. These are not grounding systems. The physics rules that out completely. They are distribution conduits. The infrastructure carrying energy from the San Francisco node of the Tartarian network outward to its connections to the other nodes, to the other cities, to the other components of a planetary system whose full geographic extent the 1915 dredging operation exposed one section of before the exposition deadline closed it back down. The sequence of what was covered first is the proof that the concealment was deliberate. A construction project operating under genuine time pressure buries what is structurally inconvenient. What sits in the way of the next foundation pour? What cannot be worked around efficiently? The priority is engineering, not selection. The 1915 reburial sequence followed a different priority. The transmission chambers with the tightest machining tolerances sealed first. The towers with the most complete internal coil mechanisms covered before photography could capture their full configuration. The sections containing the unclassifiable ceramic insulators filled with sediment within days of discovery, noted briefly in the records and then not mentioned again. The corroded equipment, the damaged debris, the material that fit neatly into the category of pre-quake waterfront remnants documented thoroughly. Photographed from multiple angles, incorporated prominently into the official record of the project. The most sophisticated evidence buried fastest. The most conventional evidence preserved longest. 3 dredging teams, 3 separate sections of the bay floor. No formal coordination between them beyond the standard project oversight structure. All 3 making the same selection choices in the same priority order. That uniformity is not coincidence. It is not independently arrived at pragmatism, producing the same result through different reasoning. It is an institutional signal, distributed through a management structure, absorbed without explicit instruction, acted upon consistently, because every person in the chain understood what category of discovery the project could not officially accommodate. Not a conspiracy, a shared understanding of what the narrative required. And the narrative required that whatever was in the bedrock of San Francisco Bay stay in the bedrock. Go to San Francisco, walk to the Palace of Fine Arts. It is the only structure from the 1915 Panama Pacific Exposition that was not demolished. Every other pavilion came down when the fair ended, consistent with the pattern this channel has documented across every World's Fair from 1851 through 1915. The systematic destruction of old world architecture displayed briefly to the public, and then eliminated before it could be examined. The Palace of Fine Arts survived because San Francisco's citizens organized to save it. Because it was, to them, too beautiful to lose. It stands on reclaimed land, specifically on the sediment that was pumped from the bay floor in 1915 to create the exposition site. The same material that covered the resonance towers, the same fill that buried the transmission chambers, the same sediment packed over the horizontal conduits running through the bedrock toward the Pacific coast. The Palace of Fine Arts stands directly above the Tartarian energy grid, the most loved, most photographed, most preserved structure of the 1915 exposition, the building that survived every demolition program that took down everything around it, is standing on the sealed evidence of the civilization whose existence the World's Fairs were designed to first display and then erase. The towers are in the bedrock below the foundations it stands on. The transmission chambers are there. The horizontal conduits running through bay floor bedrock are there severed at the surface, when the dredging covered them, but intact below, still running through the stone in the directions they were designed to run.